Hello, Anime VISOR here, with a review for the other Part 5 anime from this year, Lupin the Third, Part 5. That's just Lupin being Lupin. But yeah, it is pretty cool. Before diving into Part 5 specifically, I'll give a quick overview of the Lupin the Third series. Based on the Lupin the Third manga that was written and illustrated by Kazuhiko Kato under the pen name Monkey Punch, the multiple Lupin the Third anime that first started back in 1971 have followed, as the name implies, Arsène Lupin III, the grandson of the gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, and is considered to be the world's greatest thief, known for announcing his intentions to steal valuable objects by sending a calling card to the owners of his desired items. His right-hand man and closest ally is Daisuke Jigen, an expert marksman. Lupin and Jigen frequently work as a two-man team, but are often joined by Goemon Ishikawa XIII, a master swordsman whose sword can cut anything, as well as Fujiko Mine, a femme fatale and Lupin's love interest. Lupin and his gang are constantly chased by Inspector Koichi Zenigata of Interpol, who has made it his life's work to arrest them, pursuing Lupin across the globe. And honestly, that's all you need to kind of know to watch almost any entry in the Lupin series. You can, for the most part, pick any old Lupin the Third movie and be fine going in with the information I just gave. Yeah, I wouldn't go so far to say that the Lupin the Third series is episodic per se, but it is a really easy series to pick up and enjoy. I've only mostly watched the TV series and movies that have come out in the 2010s, starting with the woman named Fujiko Mine, and was able to enjoy them with little to no information beforehand. I've more recently gone back and watched some of the older stuff like The Castle of Cagliostro, which I highly recommend, not just if you enjoy Lupin, but anime in general. Seriously, go check it out when you get the chance. While I've said how Lupin the Third is really easy to pick up and you can practically start from anywhere, Lupin the Third Part 5, not so much. Well, it's not that you can't, but it sort of continues the technology theme that was somewhat introduced in Part 4, and for lack of a better word, just goes full ham with it. Just a plethora of hacking, camera tricking, and cool technology throughout this part. But besides theme, the biggest thing that makes Part 5 a little harder to get into is its fairly frequent references and callbacks to characters and places. If you haven't seen The Castle of Cagliostro, you might be confused why Lupin is in this old broken down castle. If you haven't seen Part 4, you'll probably be a bit bewildered who Rebecca is when she shows up. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Rebecca, yes. I don't want to get too into it since I'm supposed to be talking about Part 5, but my opinion of Rebecca is that she's just a rich girl looking for kicks, and that after her first arc, she's just ham-fisted into the story, and that it feels very contrived anytime she shows up. Anyway, focusing on Part 5 specifically, Lupin and the gang are back at it again, this time in France, the home of his grandfather and namesake. They meet and rescue a teenage hacker named Ami, who later helps them in the Lupin game, a sort of live social media version of Where's Waldo, except not only is Lupin's every position given away due to social media, but players can also bet on who is going to be the one to kill Lupin. And that's just the first story arc. There's a lot of other cool action and internet hacking technology throughout Part 5, and was a really enjoyable watch. And honestly, compared to Rebecca, I much more enjoyed Ami's character and story, as it didn't seem as forced and it felt like she had earned her place to be running with Lupin's gang. However, as much as I like the action and the techno bits, as well as Ami's character, what I really enjoyed about Part 5 was its depiction of Lupin and Fujiko's relationship. It's clear early on that the two of them have had a falling out of some kind. In between the big story arcs in Part 5, there are a couple of episodes that were referred to as lost episodes, and these are fairly episodic, but most of them also gave a little insight into Lupin and Fujiko's relationship, from when it was good to when and why things started to sour. The question at the center of it, what is Fujiko to Lupin? And honestly, going back to that you somewhat need to be familiar with some past Lupin stuff, it's a good question. Not just for Fujiko, but for the audience. For over 50 years, audiences have seen Lupin and Fujiko be lovers, to turn around and stab each other in the back, to then get back together so that one can up the other. It's a vicious cycle, leading to what is my favorite Fujiko line, and arguably one of the best in the series in my opinion.
私はあなたの何？恋人？ライバル？障害物？踏み台？港？それとも棺桶かしら？
How do I want to handle this? I don't want to spoil it too much. It's not so much what he says, but what he does, and is only meant to be between him and Fujiko. It's a meaningful gesture that lets Fujiko know how Lupin feels about her, and that's all we as the audience need to know. Yeah, because honestly, I don't think we'll get any more into what Lupin did. It sort of falls apart if you look at past continuity, but the gesture in and of itself is a special moment and scene. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense if we analyze it based on continuity, but thematically, it makes sense regarding Fujiko and Lupin. It's a brilliant twist that simply and accurately depicts Lupin's feelings for Fujiko. Overall, Lupin the Third Part 5 was a fun ride. Coming from Part 4, it didn't get bogged down with being too episodic like Part 4 kind of did, since Part 5 has multiple arcs that last multiple episodes. It also did a better job at introducing and developing a character like Ami than Part 4 did with Rebecca, and what I just finished up covering, Lupin and Fujiko's relationship. It was handled very well and maybe more maturely than one would typically think given some of their past exploits. Now, is everyone going to enjoy Part 5? Probably not, to each their own and all. Especially since this Lupin breaks the trend and somewhat requires you to have watched Part 4 at the very least. There's also probably some animation hiccups here and there that I didn't go into, as well as some story elements that didn't quite make sense, but I had a good time watching it, and I'm excited to see what crazy adventure Lupin, Jigen, Goemon, and Fujiko have next. Of course with Zenigata hot on their heels. And you know what? Ami can come too. Just get on in there with that Hello Underworld. As far as Rebecca can stay on the boat and make pizza for everyone. With all that said, that'll wrap up my thoughts on Lupin the Third Part 5. If you want to check out Lupin the Third, Parts 1 through 5 are available for streaming on Crunchyroll. I'll have a link for each of them in the description, and if you want a little more information on Lupin the Third Part 5, I'll put a link to its My Anime List page in the description as well. Go ahead and let us know what you think of Part 5 or the Lupin the Third series as a whole in the comments below. As always, I've been Anime VISOR. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.